There is a systematic effort to destroy every black male entertainment. Nobody leaves this business clean. He ain't gonna live. I'd be surprised if he lived past the end of September, because he is a dead man walking.
Okay, I think y'all might want to grab a seat for this one, because the Malcolm-Jamal drowning story just took a wild turn. And y'all, this is another shade of dark. Now, while the mainstream media reported the Malcolm drowning was an accident as a result of strong tides at the beach, Eddie Griffin seemed to disagree. And according to inside sources, Eddie Griffin is a legend. Someone drugged Malcolm while he was on the beach, got him into the water to drown, and tried spinning the story like he drowned because of strong tides of the beach. Eddie is a legend that some powerful people are behind the shocking death of Malcolm. And y'all, this is nuts. For context, the internet was sent into a shock when news of Malcolm-Jamal's drowning at a beach in Costa Rica hit the internet. Now, when the news of his death broke, it was revealed that he and his daughter were swimming on the beach as he drowned while trying to save his daughter. Now, people felt some type of way about the news that Jamal drowned while trying to save his daughter. Thus, firstly, his wife was not present at the beach when he drowned, even though they were on holiday together. Jamal has always been open about his love for his family.
I met my wife through a mutual friend. And because I was on this hiatus, I was like, I'm not really dating. And our mutual friend was like, well, one day won't hurt. You know, at the end of the day, she could be a really cool friend or a really cool spiritual connect. And I was like, that's cool. Because some of the things I need to work on, I can't work on if I'm completely disengaged from the opposite sex. So, okay, that would be kind of cool.
He always talked about how he prayed. He had a daughter first. So why will he risk taking his daughter swimming on the beach when he knew it was not a safe place?
So I asked the universe for a girl first. So even before conception, we were very clear we were having a girl. And I knew that I needed a girl first to kind of ease me into it, because I have a pretty good idea of what kind of father I would be. So I needed a girl to kind of, slow me down and warm, soften me up, if you will. So for me, raising my daughter, I came into fatherhood already with a certain maturity and certain understanding of.
As the beach was notorious for its riptides with warning signs everywhere, it had little funding, as the only lifeguards present were voluntary.
These are the first things we saw when we pulled up to the beach. Signs in Spanish and English warning people about potentially hazardous conditions. This sign even giving a roadmap for how to escape a rip current.
Now, a few days later, another account of what happened was released by the Costa Rica Judicial Investigation. It reads, Mr. Warner was playing with his daughter at the seashore at one point. He then left her out of the water, and he and a friend of his entered the sea. It was at that moment that they were swept away by the current, and the friend managed to get out. However, Mr. Warner was unable to get out and was pulled out by several people on the beach. He received care from Red Cross officials, but was pronounced dead at the scene. However, this new statement from the Costa Rica authorities claims that Malcolm was pulled from the water by several people on the beach. And get this, they're now saying there were not one, but 3 tourists who happened to be doctors on the scene. And while they somehow saved the other man who almost drowned, none of them were able to save Malcolm.
That are deceiving.
Mike Geist helps run a volunteer lifeguard organization here. He says while no lifeguards were on duty that day, Geist's friend, who happens to be a trained lifeguard, was there to surf and discovered Warner unresponsive in the water.
The first thing that they do is they bring him to the surface and give the emergency respirations. Right there in the water on the surfboard. And when he didn't respond to that, my friend rapidly took him into the beach, and they immediately began CPR.
Now here's where things start to feel a little off, and honestly, you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to raise an eyebrow. The fact that the story keeps changing is sketchy enough on its own, but fans and locals have started pointing out something else that's got people talking. The area where this all happened It's infamous for having some of the most dangerous rip currents in all of Costa Rica. We're talking 0 lifeguards, no warning signs, and academic studies labeling it the most hazardous beach in the country. Even Olympic-level swimmers have been caught off guard by those tides. So, are we supposed to believe Malcolm brought his daughter to swim there while his wife stayed back at the hotel? Or was he there to meet someone he knew and ended up taking his daughter along? Eddie Griffin is not buying the official story surrounding Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death. And according to inside sources, Eddie Griffin has been warning Jamal for ages that the powerful people in Hollywood were coming for him because Eddie was principled and never bent the knee for powerful directors in Hollywood. So when he heard Jamal drowned, he knew these powerful people may have gotten to him. According to Hollywood insiders, Eddie believes Malcolm's drink was spiked while he was at the beachfront with his daughter, and that he was lured into the water while under the influence of whatever was slipped into his system. The source claims Eddie is adamant Malcolm was never the type to be careless, especially when he was around his family. So now the real question people are asking is, who wanted Malcolm gone and why? See, Malcolm wasn't your typical Hollywood black celebrity. He didn't play the game and he refused to sell out. He wasn't about to put on a dress for a role or accept any part meant to humiliate him, and he was very vocal about it.
You don't necessarily want a black boy. What you want to do is you want to love him so divinely. You want to love him so fiercely that your disappointment will kill him. You want to adore him so much that the last thing he wants to do is disappoint you. Like, that's how the album opens. Wow. So this is an album.
Malcolm was known for calling out the system loud and clear. Back in 2021, he even wrote a powerful op-ed for the Television Academy, where he exposed how white producers, directors, and writers still control the image of black people on TV. He wrote that even when black creatives are given a seat at the table, it's often just the illusion of control, because the stereotypes still stay locked in place, just dressed up in new packaging. And let's not forget his podcast, Not All Hood, where he didn't hold back. Malcolm regularly spoke out about how Hollywood and the media lump all black people into the same tire box, recycling the same damaging stereotypes over and over again.
And the reason for the title is combating the narrative of black life, black culture that the media focuses on. And
that we're all one thing.
Yeah, and the whole concept is, we're not all hood. The black community is not a monolith. There's so many levels and lanes to the black community, and we wanted to have a space where we could acknowledge, discuss all of those lanes, because they're so varied in terms of our perspectives and our opinions and our ways of life. And we wanted to be able to have a place where we can talk.
One thing we know about those who speak about the ills of Hollywood and speak against those powerful people who call the shots in Hollywood is that they are constantly under some sort of attack. If they are not blacklisted from the industry, then someone somewhere is making attempts on their lives. And y'all, Eddie Griffin isn't just throwing out wild theory. He strongly believes someone somewhere wanted Malcolm gone because of what he stood for. This wasn't just about a man who refused to play Hollywood's degrading game. This was about someone who lived by his values and wasn't afraid to speak truth to power. Eddie's convinced that Malcolm's refusal to conform, especially when it came to the humiliating hoops black actors are often forced to jump through just to land major roles, put a target on his back. He never played into the industry's stereotypes, and that kind of defiance, let's be real, it makes a lot of people uncomfortable in those high places. Eddie also posted a tribute to Malcolm on his Instagram page. He wrote, "My heart is heavy today, for what the world lost was a father, a son, a poet, a musician, an actor, a teacher, a writer, a director, a friend, a warrior that I had the pleasure of going to war with against the Hollywood machine, and sometimes with each other, because that's what brothers do. But the love was and is always there. You've taught me so much, and I thank you. Rest well, my big little brother." Malcolm also had some very real things to say about modern hip-hop. He openly criticized how toxic and destructive the genre had become, calling out the misogyny, the glorification of violence, and the lack of emotional accountability.
Unfortunately, the success of hip-hop is predicated upon being anti-black. The messages in hip-hop that get the exposure are misogyny, murder, and disrespect of fellow black people.
He wasn't trying to hate. He was calling for healing, for growth, for the community to do better. But of course, that's exactly the kind of message major record labels want to bury. Because let's face it, they make millions off division, dysfunction, and chaos in the culture. Eddie Griffin, alleging that Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death was not an accident, had fans talking, and they left comments saying it could be that Malcolm was already unalived and placed in the water, and his body just went into the relentless current. I also would question the person who tried to save Malcolm, who almost drowned himself. Something don't smell or sound right. Why would he go into the water putting himself in danger after seeing the posted warning signs, or was he placed there after his unalive? Make it make sense. There are evil, cold folks who we live amongst. Being rich, black, and famous be a curse sometimes, and we learn from the internet all the craziness behind closed doors, being unalived in weird, made-up circumstances and not existing in your family's lives no more. Shit's sad and not worth your life. So do you think Eddie Griffin is right about Malcolm's death not being natural, or do you think there's more to this story than what is being reported? Let me know what you think in the comments. Then check out this next story.